What I said, you know, time's gonna change and people gonna change with them. You feel me? Just make sure you remain you, baby girl. Let's get it.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the first episode of my new mental health series that I'll be starting as of right now. I am so very excited to start this series. I feel like young people today, especially young African Americans, they just don't see the importance in learning about mental illness or even seeking help when they suffer from it themselves or a relative, someone close to them suffers from mental illness. We tend to sweep things under the rug, honestly, instead of seeking help. With this series, I would like to hopefully bring awareness to the topic, teach people about different types of mental illnesses and what to look for as far as symptoms and triggers, and also provide a platform for people suffering as well as relatives of those individuals or people in romantic relationships or friendship or anything of that nature. So today I'm going to be talking about my struggles with mental illness personally. I do have a sibling, my younger sister, who suffers from borderline personality disorder, and I'll be discussing my interaction and experience with her and how that kind of affected me and my family at another time. Today I'm gonna be discussing my personal experience, I guess. I have what they call quiet borderline personality disorder or acting in BPD. The typical version of this disorder would be considered acting out BPD, which is what my sister has, in which all of those symptoms and everything, you can physically see it. For someone like me, it happens inwardly. I tend to internalize all of my emotions. But first I'll kind of tell you what it was like leading up to the diagnosis, which was fairly recent for me. I believe it was earlier this summer, maybe like May-ish. So that's fairly recent because I'm recording this now in the beginning of January. So I had a fairly normal childhood. It wasn't normal at all, but like I didn't have any traumatic events happen that I can recall in front of me or to me. So there wasn't much of anything that may have triggered this illness that I know of. And I say that I know of because as some of you may know, you can repress memories that your brain kind of doesn't want to accept or deal with. And I don't want to rule that out at all, but as far as I know, nothing has happened. Up till middle school, I don't think I had any issues, except I kind of started in middle school talking to people however I wanted to, which I apparently do now. This is what they say, you know. I'm a nice person in my mind. But I had like 3 best friends, and it got to a point where I was treating them so badly. They went to my mom, and my mom had to sit me down and say, like, listen, you're gonna lose all of your friends if you don't start treating people better. And I mean, acting in borderline typically wouldn't be physically or verbally harming anyone else. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's about at all. That would be a typical borderline. But that's that. So in high school, I don't recall having any issues either until about junior year. I started feeling down a lot. I started having crying spells randomly out of the clear blue sky. It will be the most random place at the most random time that I'm having these crying spells. And eventually I talked to my mom about it. Of course, she just thought that I was depressed. She put me in therapy. I hated it. It was like, you know how someone can't afford their own lawyer, so the state provides you with a public defender, and they're just shitty at their job. They're just winging it, just getting another person out of the way. I felt like I was given the crappiest, cheapest therapist ever. I'm just not even going to get into it. She was just whack. She was corny. And nothing was changing. And I mean, obviously, they just thought I was depressed. That was it. I knew there was something wrong, but I just decided, okay, I'm done with therapy. Like, it's not working. And as soon as I decided that and stopped going, it was just kind of like, I feel better. I'm cool. Over it. Moving on. Fast forward. I get to college, freshman year. I had a boyfriend at the time. It was literally a perfect relationship. Like, perfect. I don't know how else to describe it, but perfect. Like, we were so, like, equally yoked. And it's not that we were exactly alike. We just fit perfectly like a puzzle together. Everything was just amazing. And then, boom, I break up with him. Ask me why. Ask me why. I don't have the answer because I'm freaking psycho. Like, okay. I forgot to mention something at the beginning of this video. Sort of like a disclaimer. I, as a person with mental illness, as a relative of people with mental illness, as a psych major, I know that there are two words that you just should not use. Normal, crazy. Normal, crazy. Don't use those two words. There's no such thing as normal. And what do you mean by crazy? Crazy can be so offensive. I use both words. I feel like I can't. It's like the N-word. You're black, so you feel like you can use it. You shouldn't, but you do. That's me with the words normal and crazy. So I'm probably going to use them at some point in this video, maybe multiple times. Just letting you know. That's all. Try not to be offended, please. So yeah, I broke up with him. I tried to give him a bunch of different reasons because I wasn't sure of the real reason. I just woke up one day and I was done. Fast forward again to sophomore year, spring semester of college. Boy, when I tell you that was probably the worst time of my life. It was awful. It was really bad. It was terrible. So that spring semester, I completely stopped going to all of my classes. Did I say I withdrawed? No, I didn't say that. I completely stopped going to all of my classes and did not formally withdraw from school. So yeah, my GPA sucked. Anyway, I completely stopped going to classes. I was living with two people who I considered friends, but I tell you the truth, I didn't know them very well. I knew them to some extent. I considered them friends, new friends, really. Another girl who was a friend of theirs, so we kind of became friends, but I didn't know her from a can of paint. And then 2 guys moved in. I'm just not gonna get into it, but know that I was living with people who didn't really know me, who didn't really know what was going on, who I should not have been around during that time. I was severely depressed. It was bad. I was in my bed at all times. If I wasn't in my bed, I was out trying to have fun, trying to get out of that place. And if anyone knows me personally, any of you are watching, you know when my face is just like, when I'm angry, when I have this angry face, I can't even make it right now, I can't, but when I have that just emotionless look, like I just don't want to be there, it's bad. Because it doesn't just affect me, it affects the people around me. Like, it just brings their mood down. So the whole time I'm living with these people and they're just thinking I am just crazy, I'm just tripping, there's something wrong with me, I'm always snapping, I always have an attitude, I'm always crying, I'm always in my feelings. Like, they just didn't know what to do with me, and I didn't know what to do with me. Like, it was terrible. At some point, I remember my dad drove up here. My roommate snitched on me. Said I was not gonna cry during this video. She snitched on me and called my mom and just told her how depressed I was and everything, and the emotional state that I was in. And she called my dad. My dad came up here and he literally tried to take me home. Well, not take me home. He tried to, I forget what it's called. But he tried to freaking institutionalize me, okay? And I bawled my eyes out. I'm like, I don't want to go. Don't let me go, please. I don't want to go. The bitches let me go. And oh my gosh, it was a stressful time. Anyway, we skip past that because I didn't get put anywhere. It was just a bad time, and I was around people who didn't know me. They didn't understand me. I was having bad anxiety attacks. I would have to leave and just take walks, like, just to get away, because you're going through what you're going through, but you can't even go through it alone. These are people who are constantly like judging you and just right at everything. Like, oh, I wanted to kill all of them. I hated everyone that I was around. I hated them. So they took my financial aid away. So basically, I was finding out I wouldn't be able to come back to school the next semester, which did not work for me, because it's one thing to take a break from school, but I was living here. This apartment was my apartment. This is my home. I had a year-round lease, and I was going to keep renewing it year after year because this is my home. I didn't have anywhere to go back to. Like, yes, my father has a house, but he lives in Delaware. Philly was my home all my life. Westchester, it's close, and it's a drivable distance to Philly. I was never moving to Delaware. That wasn't possible. That's my problem is anytime I was in a situation where I had a problem living somewhere, I'm not up and leaving, because I've been working since I was 14 years old. I haven't stopped working. I need to work. I need to have my own money. So that was done. As far as I knew it, I had no place to, as far as I saw it, I had no place to go. So I had to bust my ass and get financial aid. So I did that. I snapped out of it. Sis, you gotta get good grades, because you can't be homeless and you can't be out of school. Did that. Got great grades as usual, because I've always been a good student. And then started the next spring semester after that, and I fell right back into the same place. If anyone has been depressed before and you haven't properly dealt with it, you know that it's just like a never-ending spiral. It's just a pattern. You're gonna keep going back and then feeling better and then falling into depression again and then feeling better. It never ends. And my problem was that I was going to therapy, I was put on medications, but I wasn't treating the right thing. I was treating depression. My problem was quiet borderline personality disorder. I always knew something was wrong. It wasn't just depression. So I always did my research. Like, we got to put a name on this so that we can fix it, so I can get the proper help. And nothing fit. Nothing made sense. Of course, I started with borderline personality disorder because my sister has it. She's been diagnosed years ago. But her symptoms didn't look like mine. Her actions didn't look like mine. What she was going through didn't look like what I was going through. So it didn't fit. It didn't make sense. And then one day, my mom texted me and she's like, have you ever heard of quiet borderline? Have you ever looked it up? Did your research on it? Like, does this sound like what you're going through? And no lie, I started doing my research and I just like burst out in tears. I'm like, this is just me in words on screen. There was no doubt in my mind that that's what I was going through, that I was a quiet borderline. And I have been getting therapy ever since. With a good therapist, because there are a lot of bad ones. You just gotta wean them out until you can find a good one, which sucks, but you gotta do it. And same with medication. I'm on a pretty good balance. They work for me, but I know that the struggle is real trying to find medications that work for you, and especially trying to find the balance, like 2 or 3 combined that work well together. Please do not let that discourage you from finding what you're looking for. It sucks bad. Side effects suck bad. Like, oh, so bad. It's awful. It's awful, and no one wants to go through it. And that's why eventually a lot of people decide they just don't want to be on medication. You just don't want to do it. But now that I've found things that work for me, I'm legit like batshit when I don't take one or both of my medications every day like I'm supposed to, which I don't, because listen, it gets like that sometimes. You just don't feel like it. But that's just the truth. I'm trying to give you guys my experience. So right now I kind of want to tell you guys a little bit more about my illness, just to help you all better understand me, because that is a big problem for me specifically, and for quiet borderline specifically. Feeling like someone understands you and where you're coming from is just unlikely. So maybe if I explain a little bit about what I'm going through to you guys, you can understand it better if you see these symptoms in other people instead of calling them whatever you call them, because I've been called every name in the book, just because it doesn't look like mental illness. It looks like she's just drawing. I try to use very little Philly slang in these videos because I know all of my viewers are not from Philly, but there's always Urban Dictionary. So just to separate the two personality disorders apart from one another, it's important that you understand that a quiet borderline is they internalize all of their emotions, and a typical borderline, they act out, like literally act out behavior-wise, and it's much easier for one to recognize that person's emotions and how they're feeling, because they'll tell you flat out or they'll show you physically, but acting in borderline, they do what one would do to other people to themselves, if that makes sense. They keep it all in, all bottled inside. They attack themselves. I suffer from mood swings, impulsiveness, episodes of rage, fear of abandonment, lack of identity. So because of this difference in how we express our emotions, it's really hard to recognize by doctors or other people because they don't fit that classic idea of what BPD is. And for that reason, it's really hard for people to understand you and where you're coming from because you keep everything bottled in. Everything bottled in. And when you finally do let it out, it's just not the way that you think it's coming out. So I know that I kind of feel isolated. I feel like that lack of connection with the outside world. Like, I feel like I am just an alien. Like, I don't know who sent me here. I don't know where my real family is, but like, take me back. I just don't have that connection with other people. It's like I always knew that I thought differently than other people. Like, my thought process is just different. Just different. You just feel different than everyone else. Yeah, we're all unique. We're all different people, blah, 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 but it's a different kind of feeling. You feel isolated. You feel alone in the world. You feel like no one else could possibly understand what you're going through until you hit up Google and look up quiet borderline. Like, that's the only proof that anyone in the world could possibly understand you and the way that you think and what's going on in your mind. Like, it's very lonely. And also, because you don't act out in the way that a typical borderline would, people just, they don't take your feelings seriously. Like, you literally look like someone who's just depressed. We know that no one takes depression seriously, and it's just left unnoticed and untreated. It's a very crippling illness. You feel like there's just nothing you can do. That lack of identity portion is like, you don't know what you want to do with your life. You feel like you don't have a future. What am I studying for? What am I fighting so hard to be in school for if I don't see me living this far ahead in the future? How can I be planning this far ahead in the future, you know? As someone with BPD, I can say that it feels like you're like a passenger in your own body. Like, you don't feel like you have any control over what's going on, which makes you feel 10 times worse. So it's like, I can never fix this. I can never get over this hump, this struggle, this barrier in my life. So why try? It makes you want to give up. It makes you feel completely hopeless. Completely. And then dealing with the illness that specifically makes you keep things inside and keep you from opening up and talking to people. It's like, at what point do you feel better? At what point do you feel better? I had to literally force myself to open up and talk about it. So for the people who aren't dealing with mental illness or never have had to, please be mindful of that when someone tries to open up to you. They're not necessarily looking for answers. They're looking for comfort. They're looking for an ear, someone to listen, someone to just be there for them. That's all. So these mood swings, they are not fun at all. They really suck because people really think you're crazy when you have mood swings, like obvious mood swings like mine. They weren't so obvious for a long time, and in recent years it has been like the flip of a switch so easily. It's the littlest thing I will just shut down or I'll go off. It's one or the other. I snap on people and they don't know why I'm snapping necessarily, and I just look like I'm tripping for snapping for no reason. Everyone's not accepting, so that makes it even harder to open up. This video is long as hell. I know certain people don't even want to hear this crap, so they're not even gonna get this far, but I appreciate you if you have gotten this far. From moving on to relationships, the mood swings have an effect. You wake up one day and you hate the person that you once loved. Like, that simple. It's really that simple. Like, as far as friendships, the same thing. Like, I have questioned the friendship and the loyalty and the love of some of the people I am closest to in life, and they may have never known it at all. I'm learning a lot and I am progressing, but it's taking a long time, and not everyone wants to deal with that excuse of you being a work in progress. Just because someone has mental illness doesn't mean that you have to deal with them, that you have to help them along the way, that you have to stay around until they've progressed. You don't have to do anything. Your own blood, your own family doesn't have to stick with you during this struggle, during this process. I just keep that in mind because I don't want to be one of those toxic people for anyone. And I know there's a stigma when it comes to people with mental illness, like that you are that toxic person. All you bring is just negativity. I do sometimes. I labeled myself the probably biggest pessimist on earth at one point, until I recently figured out that you being pessimistic doesn't only affect you, it's affecting the people around you. You're just bringing a bunch of negativity and spewing it at every person left and right. No one wants to be around that. I don't want to be around it, but shit, I'm attached to it. So yeah, there's that. So I'm trying, and if you guys, notice that about yourself, you should be trying to do better. Like, don't just give up and say, it's the mental illness, can't control it, it's me. That's gonna get you nowhere but alone. But me, it's weird because one minute I crave companionship, I crave someone there. It's to a point where I physically crave someone, having someone there. Like, when I go to bed at night, I want someone right there. That doesn't mean cuddle me. I don't need you to cuddle me. Don't touch me. I just want someone there. Like, I need someone in my life. I need someone there. Whether it's a close, like a best friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever, like, I need someone there. And then the next day, I want to be by myself. I want to be alone. Don't text me. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. I also want to mention that I am very, very sensitive. I know that I have the darkest sense of humor. I get that from both of my parents. And I can come off really mean sometimes. Like, very mean. But I am a sweetie pie. And I'm shy, and I get social anxiety. I don't like to be around a lot of people. I don't know what to do. I freak out. I don't like to be around a lot of people. That's why I don't really party. I don't know how you guys get that from me, but I don't. Like, quiet borderlines are overly sensitive. Yes, we are. We take it all to heart. Make it clear that it's a joke and you don't mean it at all. There's no truth to that because it hurts my heart. Okay? Thanks. And let's go over some mental illness etiquette. Don't call me crazy. That hurts my feelings. You can say it one time. Don't keep saying it. Don't make it a reoccurring thing, because I'm gonna start to think that you really believe it. I think crazy part is I think I'm more normal than everybody. Than this whole freaking, like, I wish there were a bunch of me's on this earth that people would think the way I think. Like, this illness, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's awful. But as far as just like common sense and like everything, I feel like I got it. I feel like I'm just here, and I can't be here with everybody else because y'all be tripping. But This guy walks into my room. First of all, I had multiple people walk into my room, look at all the medication on my desk and ask me questions about it. But this one guy said, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me?" I want to say some things, but I'm trying not to curse as much. I've already slipped up too many times. That's just proper etiquette. Can you not? Can you not? I had someone else call me the other day. "Yeah, you got off the phone and said that you had to go to therapy real quick, but I didn't ask you, what were you in therapy for?" Can you not? Can you not? I mean, I just feel like we could talk. You could talk to me about it. Can we not? I don't wanna. If I wanted to, I would. Like, this is me opening up. Like, this was a lot. This was, pat myself on the back. That was progress. Look at me making progress, okay? And I didn't cry. Thank you guys so much for watching and dealing with my interesting personality. Yeah. I had a few people reach out to me on Instagram already, and just keep on reaching out. If you just want to talk, if you feel like you need a little help, you need an ear, have any questions, let me know. Hit me up, slide in the DMs. I'm here to help anyone because I know how it feels to feel like you have no one to talk to. And if you guys were interested in being involved in the series, that's what I kind of mostly wanted you guys to hit me up about. Just to share your experience, because you don't know, you could help someone. Like me, I tried to be more upbeat, even though I'm a crybaby. And when I think about it, it is emotional. Like this is rough. This is very rough. It affects your life. It's very crippling. It's hard to live a normal life, regardless whether you're high functioning or not. It's hard. It's so hard to live a normal life and not let it affect you day in and day out and affect your relationships. But yeah, I'm trying to be upbeat because I know how badly it can feel. I know how hopeless you can feel. I didn't want to bring that type of energy to this video or to this series at all. I mean, if someone breaks down, it's okay to be emotional, but I want you guys to know that you don't have to be miserable every day. Thank you guys all for watching. If you made it this far, this is like making it to the end of that J. Cole song. I forget the name of it, but I love it. And you sitting through the credits and you don't know any of the people he's shouting out, but you sit through it because you're a real, you know the word I was going for. I appreciate you guys. Love you. Thank you for watching. I have more videos coming. I'm tired of BSing you guys. I'm sorry. I bought a new camera, as you